So we've successfully gotten rid of the need to send these props along to the unauthenticated app, but what about the authenticated app side? The authenticated app needs the user to display the username and make authenticated requests, and it needs the logout to log the user out when the user clicks the logout button. But let's start out with this user for authenticated requests. The only place we're making authenticated requests is in the books hooks and the list items hooks. So let's take a look at the books first. Because these are hooks, they have access to all the built-in hooks from React, and so we can use the React use context hook here, no problem. So let's bring in React from React so we can use that use context hook, and we'll bring in our auth context from context auth context. And then down here, instead of getting the user as an argument, we can actually get the user from React use context auth context. And then we no longer need to accept that argument, and we can just grab it from context instead. We'll do the same thing for use book right here. Get rid of that. And then we'll deal with this refetch book search query later. So with those two, now we just need to find the places where these two hooks are being used. And here in our book exercise, it's being used there. So we no longer need to use the user right here. And then on the discover side, we no longer need to use the user right here. And let's double check that everything's working. It looks like everything's working just fine. So that was a solid refactor, and we reduced the number of places we actually need the user. Of course, we do still need the user for this refetch book search query, which we'll deal with later. And on this page, we also need that user still for the use list item, but we're well on our way of having to avoid using prop drilling to get this user around because these hooks can grab that user from context. In review, all that we did here actually was bring in React and the auth context because these hooks, which are responsible for making authenticated requests, have access to context because they are hooks, specifically because they're being called within the function body of a function component. And for that reason, they have access to React context and can retrieve the user from context themselves rather than accepting them as arguments to the function.